Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. I'm Kevin, I'm the CTO of High Mobility, and today I will show you how to use MQTT to stream data to your applications. So first off, we have had a few Open Dev talks before. This is the third edition. We have spoken about some basics about connected car data, how to use the simulator to work with vehicle data, and today we get more into details of streaming data. So the topic is MQTT, and the reason is for that is that we have chosen MQTT as the main way of delivering vehicle data in an asynchronous manner. So if you traditionally use an API, you would use a REST API, for instance. You pull the data, you decide how often you want to get new data. Maybe it hasn't been refreshed, so you pull and pull and pull. Not the most efficient way of doing things. So with MQTT, as in other type of publish, subscribe type of technologies, you can really subscribe to data updates just by doing one connection to our server, and then as soon as there's new data available for your vehicles that you have connected, that data is pushed directly onto the MQTT broker or published in the correct terms, and you can subscribe to those updates and get those updates immediately. So a pretty efficient way to get data and never to miss any data. And when vehicles are driving, sometimes they generate lots and lots of data updates. So if you're subscribed to the MQTT broker, you can all the time get this information to your services. So what I will do is I will show you from which brands or how you can see for which brands this data type of push mechanism is available, because it's pretty new thing. We launched it at High Mobility just around 6 to 8 months ago. Before that, it was always pull-only mechanisms to get data. And this is also kind of reflecting a bit of a switch in the market where vehicle manufacturers start to provide data on a push manner. So they push data to us in High Mobility, and we can also then push data to our customers who are using our APIs. So first off, we'll look what the availability is. Then we'll go ahead into the platform and see how you can actually get your authentication credentials to connect to the MQTT broker, and then also a live demo. Always good to try, how you actually can see the data coming into your connection. So by following this, you should hopefully be able to get up and running yourself as well. So with that, I'll go ahead and share my screen so we can really get into it, because as all Open Dev talks, we try to keep it really compact, and we have room for Q&A in the end, and also follow-up meetings for anyone who wants to learn more about it. Starting point is in the platform. So it assumes that you have an account in our platform. Just go ahead and sign up if you haven't, really simple to do. And as soon as you get access, you have enter the console, as we call it. So in the console, you can work with data in our simulation environment, but also with live data. So for MQTT today, it's only supported in the live environment. So you can get data for real cars, live cars, but to get data from the simulated environment, that's something we have in the roadmap. So that's also coming up, but today I will show you a demo slightly different or not working with the car simulator. What you have to do first is have a look at what manufacturers support, the type of information you're after. So we have this data catalog, we use it extensively. We have around 660 data items here, and it's possible to search manufacturer by manufacturer, which data points are available. And the new thing we have is that we also highlight data availability. You can see it here, if it's based on pull mechanism. So if you have to pull that data, or if you can also get that data pushed to your application. As there's so much data here, it makes sense to use the filter mechanism. So I can go ahead here and say, okay, I'm interested in perhaps Mercedes-Benz data. So I want to see everything that's push. So as soon as I apply this filter, you can see that data is coming in here, and you can see if it's pull or push. In any ways, it's made available, and that's the way to kind of work with it. You can also add more filters. So I'm not interested in just one manufacturer. I want to see kind of a blend of data that's available from the Stellantis brands, if it's available by push. Sometimes there's also some specifics that data is available for push, but only for electric vehicles or for traditional gasoline cars. So if you select those type of filters, you can also see a blend of all data points that are available from both of these brands together. And in this case, we have around 249 data points available, so quite a good selection. By rolling through all of these kind of options, you can see what makes sense for you, what you should use, and then go ahead and with the next steps to start the integration itself. I close the data catalog, back in the platform. Now I go into the live data set. Here we can see all these type of kind of data containers that I've created so far. And what I need to do is to create a new data container. So for doing that, I'm more or less just entering here. Okay, I'm creating a cloud app because you always consume MQTT in a cloud environment. Let's see my MQTT service, for instance. And then I get into this view where I have an app ID. I can get all of these different credentials that I need. I can choose the data points I want to get access to. I'll not go into too deep details about this because we have covered it in other dev talks. The important part here are the MQTT certificates. So whenever you have live data container in the platform, you can always go in here, hit the plus button, and it generates certificates for you to use. This is basically what you can also see if you go into our guides. So I'll jump in here and open the MQTT guide. So this is the guide that I more or less I'm following at the moment, because the first thing we have an introduction to MQTT. We already covered that, super efficient way to get data. And we have a bit more information here. I will go into that a bit later on. And then we have here the step to kind of set up your MQTT client, and that is to download the certificates, and then you need to connect to our MQTT broker. So I want to do that. I want to go ahead and connect to our MQTT broker so I can try to see what kind of data I'm getting into. And for that, I'm going to use the terminal tool called Mqtt Sub, so subscribe. So I can basically copy this snippet here because I don't need anything else. In the terminal, I can just take the snippet, use Mqtt Sub, put in the configuration for my specific certificates that I just downloaded, and then I can connect. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll copy this. I'll open a text editor. I will also change the window so you can see what I'm doing. Just a second. So whenever I want to kind of update or whenever I want to kind of change the snippet, I'll just go ahead and copy it into my text editor. And in that way, I can go ahead and change whatever I need to change. So you can see here, this is the Mqtt Sub. And I have different kind of flags saying here, disable clean session. Those are more like specifics. It just says that whenever I connect, I should continue with my previous session. So it's possible that if you disconnect, and you connect next time, you will also get all the data updates between those time points sent to you. So even if you have some downtime on your side, or you turn down your MQTT client, you will never miss out on a file. Second thing I need to do is I need to configure the path for my certificate file. So we have the certificate authority file. So that's basically the server that you're connecting to. We have the certificate that you download, certificate specifically for your data container. And then we have the private key of your application. So all these three files are basically downloaded whenever you hit that plus button. You saw there was a zip archive being downloaded. All of these three files are in there, so there should be nothing more for you to just go in there and copy and paste those file names into here. So I will go ahead and do that. I will go into my, go in and here I'll copy and paste the files. You will see it in a second. So first off, I have the certificate authority file. So you always have these file names like this. So they are the endings are kind of giving it away, but it's basically, you can see here also that these are the certificate authority certificates. So you can just put the path in here. And you also have an identifier, and this identifier is unique to your MQTT credentials. Next, I need to have the certificate of my data container. I will go ahead and copy that as well. Now I have it here. So this says just certificate. I'll leave the endings as is because that doesn't change. And then I have my private key itself. I'll copy that as well and put it in. So I'm just copying the file names. Of course, the contents of the certificates, that's a secret. That's you can always have to take care of your credentials. But these are just the kind of paths to those files. So that when I run this, it will be able to find these information. Then we have the host, so it's mqtt.highmobility.com, the port, the quality of service is 1. That's basically that you tell the broker that you don't want to miss a single message. That might sound funny. Why would you like to miss a message? Well, for MQTT, it is possible that you have a sensor that sends data thousands of times per second, not for the vehicles, but in other scenarios, it's okay to drop some messages basically on behalf of efficiency. Then you need to fill out also the path that you subscribe to. So in the tutorial, this is basically, we're also outlining the message structure that we have live data. This is the versioning of the data protocol, the Auto API, and then we have the app ID. So the app ID is also something you can take from directly within the platform. So I'll go ahead and open my platform where I can get this information. And the app ID is always listed on top of your application page. So back here, I'll enter it here. So I just replace the app ID. And the last one to do is you have to put in an identifier for your MQTT client. So it's different from the app ID. You can see it looks different. And simply put, it's this identifier you have in the file names that are downloaded to your computer when you download certificates. So I'll just go ahead and replace this, and I have updated all the variables in my snippet. I also see that I have to add new lines because I will just copy and paste it into the terminal, and just doing that like this, we should be ready to go. So let's switch one more time and now get into the terminal and actually see how this works in practice. Here we go. So you can also see here in the terminal, I have these files set up as well, so I can use it here. Okay, so I'll let's clear the screen. Now I'm just copy and pasting the snippet I put together. You can see here. So I will do the subscribe. We have the file references. We're connecting to our server. We're subscribing to this type of data, and this is identifier. So I hit enter, and that's more or less it. Now I'm connected to the broker. There's nothing happening because there's currently no data coming in. We have the loader. Okay, now the loader went away, but the loader is going. So basically, it's an open session. So I'm connected. There's an active connection to the server, and now I'm waiting for vehicle data to be received here. Of course, now there are a few more steps in reality as well, as we covered in other Open Dev talks. When you configure your application container, you also need to publish it. You also have to have it approved from us, High Mobility side, so that we can configure each one of the manufacturers for you to access. In this demo, I have a bit of a setup, so I can do some magic, so we can see some results more quickly. And also worth mentioning is that now that I have this connection set up, in your case, the data for all of those vehicles that are connected will start to come in. So for you to get vehicles connected, if you are using our Fleet API, you need to use the Fleet Clearance tutorial. We can provide links to add a vehicle, and then as soon as a vehicle is added and activated, you will start to get data. And if you're working with an application for private owners of vehicles, you need to get the consent for data sharing using our OAuth 2 flow. We also have a lot of video material how that's done. So whenever that consent is given by the owner of the vehicle, the data starts flowing and you will start to see data here. So in this case, I have it's just a simple setup. I also already have one vehicle connected to this data container, so I can start to kind of simulate some data coming in here. So let's try that. But first, actually, to get a bit more prettier output, let me also pipe this to JQ. JQ is just a JSON formatter, and now it's running again. So I basically just disconnected and connected again to the MQTT broker. So to try anything here, I can go into this folder. Let's see, downloads. I got here, and I have a few helper files. So I have a file to kind of drive a car. So when I run this command, basically it just generates a location update for the vehicle that I have connected. So I've done that, and now I go back to the terminal. I can see my connection is live, so I'm just waiting for that data to come in. So there is a bit of latency while we process, because we process thousands of messages more or less every second, all the time. So for this data to arrive, it takes a bit, but it's nothing too crazy. And now it pops up, so we got the location update. As you can see, this is the message structure that is used. We have the vehicle location this time, the coordinates, the latitude, the longitude. We also have a timestamp for where that data was generated by the vehicle. We also have a message ID. This is always unique, and then just a summary here, and also a VIN for these cases. So for this case, I have a pseudonymization filter on, because we are doing a demo. It's and using vehicles, so a VIN is always 17 digits. In this case, I have a VIN that's pseudonymized, so you cannot really see what vehicle is generating this, but nonetheless, it's coming from those vehicles. In a normal mode, you will always get the VIN, so the pseudonymization is a layer that we can add on top for those who are interested in it, and we will have open dev talks basically covering that topic as well. But you can always expect, when you have your vehicle added or consent from an owner, you will get this data also with the VIN, so you can see from which vehicle this comes from, of course. Now going ahead into next phase here, we can try to see also how this works in to getting some more data. So I have this one message that I have here, but I will go cancel it and connect again. So whenever I connect again, I can see that, okay, now I have no data available for this time. And then I'm waiting for new data to come in. Just to prove the point that you can get data while you missed things. Like if I disconnect now and I send the drive car once again, and now I can wait for this data to come in. So it took last time approximately, I think, 15 seconds, 20 seconds. So I can wait for this to come in, and I'm not connected. So just clarity, I can clear the screen. So currently I'm not connected. So if you would have this, that you have first time connect with your MQTT client, and then you can just disconnect, you can wait, even you can come back the next day. So by default, we have a retention period of 24 hours. So if you come back the next day, you haven't connected, you connect. All the messages from all of the vehicles that you have had activated for your data container will just come in directly as you connect to MQTT again. And that's, again, a great feature of using MQTT, because if you're using the pull-based APIs, you always get the latest cached values, the latest values that are available. So if you're not pulling data for 24 hours and then you pull data again, you get the latest data, but you don't get the history of everything you missed. So in this case, with the replay mechanism that is just built into the box with MQTT, you get that data. So if I now connect again, you can see I have this data waiting for me right here. So that's just one data point. I can also go ahead and have a just a longer drive as well that I can enter. So creating a few more data points, just to show you that, yes, of course, the intention is that you use the MQTT to get lots of data, just not one data point. So now I generated a bit longer drive, so to speak, generating 3 data points, and this should come in any second as well, with several different timestamps. You should be able to see that, okay, these are actually different messages. Oh, here we go. It's already scrolled down. So here we had the previous message we're looking at. Now we got the message, update location 8:30, 8:40, and 9:10. So yeah, I just generated those, so it's not completely realistic, but you get the idea. This is a way to kind of subscribe to these messages right here.